Hey guys, Jordan here. Last week we looked at the new Lian Li SX series power supplies, and now we have the SP versions, which are going to be the SFX. These are going to come in two different wattages. We've got an 850 and 1000 watt, and as you can see, two different colours as well. Again, platinum rated like we saw on the SX units, and also ATX 3.1 compliant with a nice 10-year warranty. So let's get these out of the box and take a closer look. So first of all, in the box we've got a little adapter for SFX to ATX. Very handy thing to have, could be very useful if you're currently using an SFX or a small form factor case. Maybe you upgrade your graphics card and it doesn't fit and you need to go to an ATX case, then you've got that ready. We've also got, of course, our power supply cable. This will be relevant to where you're buying your unit, and also some cable combs, nice little addition. Now, Lian Li also included this little adapter cable, just a standard kettle lead adapter, but then adds a switch in the middle. I really love this because a lot of the smaller form factor cases have the power supplies inside the case. Once you switch it on, there's no real way to turn it off other than just at the mains. So I really like that this adds a little switch. You can easily turn that on and off outside of the case. So here are all our cables for both of the units, the 850 and the 1000 watt. Both will come with the same cables no matter which wattage you use. The only differences are going to be in the fans, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So 24 pins, these are 350 millimeters long. So there you go, slightly longer than a ruler. We've then got two 8-pin connectors or 4+4 EPS connectors for the motherboard. Those EPS connectors are 450 millimeters in length. We've then got the 12 watt high power, 2x6, 12+4, whatever you want to call it. These connectors also have a nice little blue color as well, so you know when they're fully seated. And this one's 400 millimeters in length. Again, the same for both units. We then have our PCI connectors. Each cable's got two 6+2, so we've got a total of 4 8-pins there. These are 400 millimeters long with 150 millimeters of daisy chain. And then we've got our accessory cables, so SATA and Molex. One of these is just SATA and has 3 connectors on each end. That's 300 millimeters with 150 mil gap in between each. And then the other ones are Molex and SATA, so you've got 2 Molex and 2 SATA on one cable. Very handy if you want a little bit of both. And again, these are 300 mil in length with 150 mil gap in between each. Just a little close up on the braid here. It's very supple, kind of like the Asus Tough Power Supplies, reminds me of the finish of those. This is less blue than the SX units as well. I did see that they were a little bit blue, whereas these kind of match the power supply a little bit better. Now, one thing I have noticed though is that the white that's used on the 12 watt high power 6x2, whatever you want to call it, is slightly, I would say, more green than the white that's on the rest of the cable. So just something to note there, because it is slightly different. I'm not really sure how the cable combs are supposed to go on for these. I've been trying to just put the one in different orientations, and they seem to be a little bit tricky to fandangle to get on, especially the 600 watt one, being that we've got the extra sense pins. There isn't really anywhere extra for those thinner wires to go, and the other side of it's just flat. So yeah, not too sure about that one. Definitely something you might have to take some patience with, or maybe even just keep the sense pins over the top, because there's no real place for them to go. So I've got the 24 pin one on, but the way that the cables are a little bit mixed in size, I'm not sure if that's really the most pleasing look. I think I'd probably just rather take it off. I think personally taking it off and then just doing a bend that's a bit more like that, keeping those together would be a little bit better. I think it just spaces them a bit too far apart. So I think mileage may vary for those, especially with the 6x2 one. So the units themselves are 100 millimeters by 125 and then 63.5 in height. We have a 92 millimeter cooling fan on each, and here's one of the small differences that we're going to see between the 850 and the 1000 watt is the fan speed. So we've got up to 2500 RPM on the 850 and 2900 on the 1000 watts. Then in terms of noise, that's a maximum of 40 decibels on the 850 and 45 on the 1000 watt. And then both these units will stay fanless up to 40 degrees. So that's the only difference you're going to have between the two 850 and the 1000 watt. There's no difference in cables, just the RPM of the fans and how loud it gets. As I mentioned, platinum, so you got up to 92% efficiency. And then connectors, as we're obviously using the same cables, all of these are going to remain the same. So peripheral and SATA on the top, 24 pin, and then our CPU and 6+2 PCI below. And finally our 12 volt 2x6 in the bottom left. These are both using 100% 105 degree Japanese capacitors and have all the protections that you'd expect. I'll put the full list on the screen now. And then, as I mentioned, 10-year warranty, a whopping 100,000 hours mean time between failure. That's 11.5 years if you're wondering. And then In terms of price, we've got the 850 coming in, currently around £144, and the 1000 watt is 156, so really not too much in it. But great little unit, looks absolutely diddy in my big hands, but really nice high wattage units. I really like the addition of this switch cable, especially as I mentioned, a lot of the power supplies are usually inside the case, so you can't get to the switch, so just having that as a little addition, nice little thing to have. Let me know your thoughts about these units down below. I'll leave the links in the description box below if you want to pick one up. Big thank you to Lian Li for sending these out for me to look at. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please get subscribed and ding the bell if you did, and I'll see you all in the next one.